Hi, so I've got a really great book here. It's a present I got for my wife, and it's a recreation of a Renaissance Book of Miracles. So if you look there on the bottom left, it's this one Wunderzeichen book. I don't speak German, but Book of Wonders, Book of Miracles. It's also a great way to start something that I want to chronicle in this channel besides, the weapons and the martial arts, which is I'm kind of fascinated by ideas that were transmitted through a combination of pictures and words. So I'm a huge comics fan. I haven't gotten into that yet, but I am. And if you think about it, that's in a way kind of the last vestige of this idea. You look at an image and you read some words and they work together. There's not much left of that, really. But historically, that was, a really heavily relied upon way to transmit thoughts, news, you name it. So broadsides, political cartoons. I mean, it's almost endless. So I really like any antique that has that kind of thing. This here is modern, but it's obviously a recreation of that ancient book. So I do have some antiques that do the similar things, and that I'll get into later. But speaking of this book, this product itself, it's pretty awesome. So you can see the packaging here. It's really first rate. So you've got the book that goes, the explanatory book on the left there, right? There it is. And they put some work into it, as you can see. It takes a while to read through it, and which is totally worth it. So it does a great job of giving you the historical context overall, but then, kind of most valuably, it has this annotated index. So it's every single image in that monster book that we're about to see, and it gives you the original verbiage in several languages that went along with the images. That's a great product in and of itself, but it's just the appetizer, of course. So here's what you're really paying for. This thing's pretty awesome. I read this very, very carefully, page by page, over countless lunches and breaks. And give you just a cross-section, a quick cross-section of the kinds of things that you see in here. So you've got problems, right? Major flooding, there's a lot of environmental catastrophes, but many other things as well. So that first one gives you a good indication, though. And whenever the original book had a blank, they keep that here as well, so they're very faithful. And a good sign back then that God was upset with you was when like a giant creature like this bull is leaping up into the sky over your entire city. That'd be a good indication that something's gone amiss. A lot of these, quote-unquote recorded events would be signs of the coming apocalypse, of course, and armies clashing up in the sky above your city or country. That was a good indication of that. Like I said, talking about environmental, this is getting double hit here because you've got fire and it was either hail or rain. I can't remember on that one, but like I said, I'm just flipping through here. There's a constant astronomical theme too, and I love the depiction of the sun. We'll look at a close-up later. So you'll see stuff like this, which is really neat. Any kind of an eclipse or any kind of odd astronomical event was usually captured with these kind of geometric observations, if you will. So, you can look at the moon and sometimes see concentric rings around it, that kind of thing. And those aren't the only themes that we talked about so far. So there's also my favorite one, which is kind of the bestiary, like strange creatures, that kind of thing, being found. There's another battle in the sky that's really cool. Locusts. There's a classic, right? And some of these are just straight out of the Bible. They're just biblical incidents, but most of them are more of these, supposed news. Hey, over in Salzburg, something happened on this year and this time, and a description of the event. Look at that one. How great is that? And that's kind of what I was talking about before with the concentric rings, of course, although in this case it's the sun and not the moon. And as you can see, it's just super cool, the whole thing, and it's basically this nexus of art history, doomsday prophesying, superstition, all in this great package. And this is basically something someone commissioned a really long time ago. They wanted all these wonders collected in one book that they could look through. As mentioned, my particular interest is kind of the combination of words and pictures, so here are some examples. 1448, 1st of September, quote, "A darkening of the sun, just as painted here, was seen. This was followed by great outbreaks of war and bloodshed, murder, looting, and tyranny." Isn't that incredible? And speaking of incredible, this image right here is one of my favorites of all time. It really is. And this guy coming up as one of the showpieces of the book. We're told that in January 1496, the Tiber, which is the river that runs by Rome, burst its banks high and wide, and this wondrous creature appeared and was found already dead. Why is he portrayed standing up if he was found dead, or she? Well, who knows? There's a lot of incongruencies like that that are just fun. And boy, look at the tail there, and the face on the left hip. Just two very strange details of many. So speaking of incongruencies, that applies to our next image as well. Because the reader is told that in 1531, bloody and fiery signs were seen in the night, and a great whale was seen in the sky. Well, here's a great whale, but he's in the water, and of course it's wonderful because they didn't have a great idea of what whales look like, so this is as close as they get, and it's kind of got a canine head, which just makes him even cooler. Back to the theme of kind of strange creatures found, which is a recurring one, we have this interesting fellow who was caught in the Danish Sea and brought back alive to Copenhagen. So in a way, this book was kind of a collection of news stories featuring, incredible occurrences. But, as I mentioned, sometimes it was just the telling of an episode from the Bible. And it wasn't even just looking back, although that was usually the case, because here's one from the book of Revelations, so it was looking forward. And it made a lot of sense for something like that to be in this book, because so many of these wonders were seen as signs of the coming apocalypse or the end times. And imagine the experience, going back to the words and pictures for the religious Renaissance reader looking at this and then, reading the biblical verse that accompanies it, which, by the way, goes, "And when they have finished their testimony, the beast that rises from the bottomless pit will make war on them, conquer them, kill them, and their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city." And that would be pretty effective on the Renaissance religious reader. And again, to me, it's a little bit unique the way you kind of read a certain set of words, of fairly small ones, and then just meditate on a picture that's about them. The next creature goes back to the kind of oddity found. Oh, and I love the image. So this person, animal hybrid, was described as a hunched creature that was all gray and hairy, and he was caught by the bishop's huntsman in the forests of Salzburg. I've been to Salzburg. It's been a long time. And so this is up in the Alps, and they said it would neither eat nor drink and suffered quite horribly. Further details aren't provided in the very short narrative, so you're left to assume that he came to an unfortunate end. And that is just a smattering of what you can see in the Book of Wonders by Taschen, or, this modern reproduction by Taschen, and I don't know if that's how you pronounce the company name or not, but I'll have a link to their homepage, and it's very tempting to go through and see what they offer, this being just one example. This also wraps up the first installment of what I'm calling A History of Words and Pictures. Thanks.